In Veldhoven, a Dutch town almost nobody can find on a map, there is a hangar where they assemble a machine the size of a bus. It costs more than a fighter jet, and the world's entire artificial intelligence stack depends on that machine walking out the door. It is called Extreme Ultraviolet Lithography, EUV. ASML is the only company on Earth that knows how to build it. That is not a metaphor. It is a monopoly of physics. Every chip in your phone, every GPU that trains a language model starts as a blank wafer of silicon. ASML's machine prints circuits on it narrower than a virus. The trick is a light that does not exist in nature in any useful form. A carbon dioxide laser strikes droplets of molten tin 50,000 times a second. The tin explodes into a plasma that emits 13.5 nanometers. That light does not go through glass. Air itself swallows it. It reflects off Zeiss mirrors polished atom by atom. An error the thickness of one atom and the chip is born blind. A single EUV machine has more than 100,000 parts, takes about a year to install, and costs between $180 and $380 million depending on the generation. High-NA, the next one, costs more. ASML was born in 1984 as a Dutch joint venture, Philips and ASM International. For decades, it sold deep ultraviolet machines, DUV, to anyone who made chips. Then silicon ran out of slack. To keep Moore's law alive, you had to print with a light that air absorbs. ASML bet a decade and billions on a physics most people called impossible. In 2010, it shipped the first pre-production EUV tools. TSMC, Samsung, and Intel turned them into the bottleneck of the entire semiconductor industry. Today, if ASML stops, TSMC does not manufacture at 3 and 2 nanometers. NVIDIA has no Frontier GPUs. Apple has no A-series. Training the largest models freezes. 3 customers buy almost every EUV tool on Earth: TSMC in Taiwan, Samsung in Korea, Intel in the United States. Nobody else can pay for them or run them at scale. The monopoly is not a market accident. It is physics plus institutions. Zeiss in Germany makes the mirrors. Cymer in San Diego, bought by ASML, makes the light source, and Veldhoven assembles the system. China understood and tried to buy. Washington and The Hague shut the door. Since 2019, EUV tools are not exported to China, and advanced DUV was restricted later. SEMIC, China's champion, makes 7-nanometer chips with older tools and engineering miracles. Without EUV, there is no 3-nanometer at scale. The ceiling is physical, not only political. ASML became, without asking, the quietest weapon in the 21st century tech war. It does not sell missiles. It sells the only lantern that can draw the future. High-NA EUV, the EXE generation, is already in Intel clean rooms, more precise, more exclusive. The bottleneck does not widen. It narrows again. In 2024, ASML booked more than 28 billion euros in sales and still cannot build machines as fast as the world wants them. The waitlist is measured in years, not weeks. Every machine that leaves Veldhoven travels disassembled in cargo jets, escorted as if it were a state secret. Because in practice, it is. The question in this story is not whether ASML is a great company. It is. The question is what happens when a single factory in a Dutch town holds up digital civilization. If an earthquake, a blockade, or a political decision stops Veldhoven, Moore's clock does not slow down. It stops. Taiwan, Korea, Arizona. 3 geographies that depend on a 4th. The map of artificial intelligence is not drawn in Silicon Valley. It is printed in the Netherlands. The founders were not dreaming of geopolitics. They were dreaming of more transistors in the same square millimeter. Power arrived as contraband, inside a box of light. ASML does not watch like Palantir. It does not compute like NVIDIA. It is something rarer. The only workshop that can make the pencil the rest of the industry writes with. That is why governments that agree on nothing agree on this: that light must not fall into the wrong hands. And that is why every time an AI model announces a leap, there is a tin and mirrors machine in some clean room that made it possible first. Moore's law is no longer a law of physics, it is a law of ASML. The tempo of the age is set by whoever turns that lamp on. When Tolkien imagined a stone that could see the world, he did not imagine a lamp that manufactures it. 70 years later, that lamp exists, costs a fortune, and only one country knows how to light it. Veldhoven does not make the covers, the chips do. That is the asymmetry. The most concentrated power in the digital age is also the most invisible. If you want to understand who sets the pace of artificial intelligence, do not look first at the big tech CEOs. Look at the hanger. There, tin droplet by tin droplet, 50,000 times a second, the century is being printed. ASML, the light nobody else can make. The monopoly, you do not feel as a monopoly until it is missing. The question left open, and it has no easy answer, is this: how long can the entire world depend on a single